forward jump light punch. Reasonable. Pressing. Brave, but it works. Catch him being ignorant. Mistime the mix. It's just getting comfy. It's a newer team. I'm really surprised you didn't end up jumping into it. Gotta start recognizing when 4 heavy kick will whiff for those sort of routes. It's definitely a thing that can. Bonk. Definitely when you're not comfy with your buttons, it's really hard to deal with a player who's kind of just constantly pressing. And I know you already kind of prefaced this in chat, saying I will be seeing a lot of just stand heavy punch X2 into shot. A lot of the rages you're doing stand heavy punch in, when they're on the ground, you could be doing 2 medium punch. That's a button I would definitely encourage you to be pressing, because if there's any button I like a parasol should probably be pressing too much, it's crouch medium punch. I'm sorry if I said stand medium punch. Crouch medium punch is a phenomenal button for just contesting ground space. It's so good, it's got a disjoint, it can det tiers, it's nuts. Bonk. Dash up low. Push block's a little late. I do not like that at all. Bonk. There's a lot of spaghetti, a lot of getting used to characters. Okay. Okay. Peony's looking a little bit more comfortable than the Parasol. Oh, didn't quite convert off the falling button. Caught him pressing again. I think this kills if we go all the way. Level 3, level 1. Nice. Air throw. Unfortunate drop. Overextending into mash. Oh my god, this band's a god. What in the world? I'm assuming we wanted Pillar instead of Quake there. That's hilarious that Quake still hit. Looks like we already have a good feel for command normals. Oh, we could have punished that wake up jab. They mistimed it. Heavy counter hit. Yep. Oh, so this is a band specific thing, but even if the 4 heavy kick is there, that band is not going to get comboed by Bite Guy because of how large and heavy band is. That is just something to keep in mind. I'll skip the guest games. Because it's still a bit of spaghetti. I'll see what these are like. I think my thought process for the closing thoughts for this is honestly gonna be kind of just going into what's it called? Bots, and just kind of showing you some different ways to think about how you're dealing with neutral. Because I'm liking some of what I'm seeing, and then I'm just gonna give you a little bit more options. That's not gonna work because of the tier. Yep. So the launcher with a tier on them, and these are all sort of things you'll just start more getting a feel for as you play the character. There's just certain things you need to kind of be aware of, watch out for. Oh no. That's so unfortunate, man. What in the world? Burst, yep, you don't gotta eat that soup. Done. Oh, no punish. You can jab. I know you were scared because they were right in front of your face and it didn't give you much time to react, but just certain things to look at. You can dash up, crouch light. Or do that. Yep, launching with a tier on them, including pretty far behind them, will still depth the tier and cause it to mess with the launcher. It's truly unfortunate, but something you'll get used to. Dash up low is pretty good. You can punish. I don't know if you can heavy counter hit punish that super. Cannot tell you how minus that super is. Mix. Nice. Delayed at that time too. Okay, so jump heavy punch is a great button, but the thing to be thinking about is if you hit it raw by itself and they're in the air, that is a blue bounce, it is a takeable hit, you will not get a combo afterwards. If they tech. Counter Venom is minus 14? Yeah, okay. So that's just knowing you need to punish with a lighter button. Good to know. Minus 14. Yeah, going back to Parasol Jump Heavy Punch, it's something I would use if you think you're going to be landing on them while they're on the ground. Otherwise, I would really encourage you to do it after a jump light punch or a jump light kick. So try and use jump light punch or light kick as your air to air, and then jump heavy punch afterwards. You lose OTG, but you get a confirm. You get a purple bounce. You get an OTG bounce rather than a techable blue bounce. And so I feel like I'm kind of going to be saying a lot of the same things. The Parasol just needs a little more time to develop. It looks like you know routes and you have some mix, especially in the corner. So what I'm gonna do is not that here. Let's slow enough difficulty to kind of talk about this. Let's just do this. And I'm gonna talk about the Parasol mostly because again it seems like you're Annie is getting there, and you were also asking mostly about the Annie. So, the things I would think about a little bit more in neutral to start trying to think about using in your gameplay are going to be this button. And that's what I mean by leading your jump heavy punch with a jump light kick. But so like this creates a pretty good wall on the ground, and it kind of just lets you be ignorant, and if you get a confirm like that, and so I understand you're trying to do this mix is great, that sort of stuff. Oh, I delayed that too much. Thinking about when you're calling your assists a little more, so you run this, so you're kind of wanted to do it when they're in this airspace, because this is the place Parasol struggles to deal with the most, so like exactly where that pain wheel was. Because if they're on the ground, like you can still call it when they're just running at you, but you have this, you also have jab, which is, it's faster, but it controls less space. And so you can very easily make a wall in front of your character, and you don't need to commit to stand heavy punch all that much on the ground and neutral. I really like this button, but it is a lot better if they are in the space above your head and you're trying to catch them there. Because you can just do this all day, every day for dealing with people on the ground in front of you. And then if you think they're going to get around your tier, you can call an assist with it. Just a couple more things to be thinking about for buttons you're pressing. 2 medium punch puts in so much work. Why are you saying no, Rennie? What have I done? Oh, the 360, yeah. That was me getting completely outplayed by the bot. But so... I'll kind of show you a little bit faster paced and try and kind of walk you through the things. If you're wanting to play a little bit more zoney, I would recommend kind of defaulting to L-shot if you want to be doing this a little more. If you notice they're starting to get the hang of it and jumping over the L-shot, that's where you kind of start alternating where you expect them to go. Just getting myself out of the corner. And so you've got this sort of deal. Speckling in an 8-shot is great, but especially depending on the matchup, you can get punished for 8-shot. There are so many full screen supers that will just catch you for pressing this. And so again, when I'm talking about landing on people with jump heavy punch, I'm talking about when they're like on the ground like that already. Otherwise, and even if they are on the ground, if I expect them to jump, I will often lead with jump heavy punch. And then get to do stuff like that. Yeah, and so it's if you want to get a little more comfy, once you start getting more familiar, you recognize that's a range you have to snipe at, etc. There's a couple things you will need to get used to. I'm not expecting you to really use tosses all that much in neutral. They're awkward. You kinda gotta use them with intent. I'm not really expecting you to det all that much. Those are things you can try and think about, but by no means the basics or fundamentals. They help once you add them into an already solid game plan, but just getting used to checking people with jab, controlling space with 2 medium punch, stand heavy punch, so like exactly where that space she just jumped into that is like stand heavy punch bread and butter for dealing with. This, again, landing on people with is great. If you start getting checked with like armor and stuff, landing on people with jump heavy kick is also a really good button. It's you have a lot of options to play neutral, and the more of them you're able to get comfy using, this being like a primary tool to kind of base a lot of what you're doing around, the more competent of a pair you'll seem. And then, yeah, all of a sudden, it's like, once you start kind of knowing what you want to do, if you're running away, you start getting comfy, you start throwing tiers, you start landing with buttons, trying to catch them, overextending, retreating, you throw in bite guys, a neutral. It all sort of builds on itself, but getting comfy with what buttons you really like pressing at what ranges is like the fundamental to Parasol play that you can start basing everything else around of. And so that's kind of how I would probably want to introduce you to the character. There's a ton of pretty good resources. Penny's Paraguide, while a little bit outdated, the majority of the stuff she says about all of the buttons still accurate. You already have a really good corner mix setup. That'll carry you all very far. I still use that. Yeah, and so getting more comfy with the character, getting used to recognizing when tiers are kind of gonna break things, getting comfy with the buttons you're pressing. Yeah, and just messing with Soul, etc. Yeah, I hope this gives you a little bit more of a platform to understand kind of how to approach the character a little bit more. Those are kind of basics, and then the really nice thing about Parasol is once you start really getting comfortable with the character, she is very skill expressive as well as just playstyle expressive. She is so flexible. She lets you do what you want a lot of the time. Very fun character. I will love talking about this character. No bias whatsoever. No bias whatsoever. Definitely not a Parasol player, but she's fun. and I hope you do enjoy her. Paraclyde Brass, phenomenal team. It'll go places. It's you can do a lot, and I mean she's a very flexible character. She works in so many different chills with so many different assists. L shot is a phenomenal assist. If you want to run her pillar, it's one of the better DP assists in the game, honestly, as well. Stuff works. Hope you enjoy her. If not, no shame in just going to another team again. But I think those are pretty good baseline fundamentals to think about as an introduction to the character. Apologize that I cut that review a little bit short. I just didn't know how much more I could say, as well as just in the interest of saving time. If you have any specific questions about any of those replays, yell at me. I will gladly take a look at any of them. If there was anything from the stream you want to ask more questions about, again, ping me after. I'll gladly revisit them and try and address them. Or address them differently if whatever I said was unintelligible, because sometimes I talk a little fast, and sometimes I say really stupid things. I just say them confidently so they sound smart. But yeah, outside of that, I think that's probably a good place to end the stream for the night.